Well, I have some bad news. I know that a lot of you were hoping that after this horrific operation, you would have seen the last of me, but I'm back. Yeah, not better than ever. No, I'm not that far back, but I'm feeling a lot better. So, that knocked me out. I'm telling you, it takes a lot to knock me out, even at my age of 40. So, I just wanted to have a quick chat with all of you. The polls are closing, and it's looking like too close to call. But I'm predicting that Harris is going to win. And I think she's going to win big, and it's because of the really because of the women voters, and then those of us who are almost as smart as women who are also voting for Kamala Harris. And if nothing else, I mean, how can you vote for Donald Trump? And I know some of you are supporters, some of you are Republicans, and that's fine. I have lots of friends and relatives, and if I got rid of all of them, that'd be just me and you. And man, not many of you. But uh, the thing that just irks me so much about Donald Trump is he's so low class. And I've said this before, like, comparing him to John Kennedy, who was my lodestar here. But Jack Kennedy was high class. I mean, he was just class all the way. He wasn't a perfect man, but he was high class. And, he would swear, but in private. You would never hear him use the kind of garbage that comes out of Donald Trump's mouth. You were proud to have John Kennedy as your president. All of us were. And his approval rating was like around 90 at one point in short before he was shot. Nobody has those kind of approval ratings today. But he did because he made us feel good about being American. I was really proud to be an American. And I remember my dad was telling me, this is the first time since Truman died that he really felt proud to be an American. And of course, my dad was the ultimate American. He was a football star and a war hero and a U.S. attorney and all these things. But he didn't like flag waving and phony patriotism like you see with the Trump flag, the American flag with the Trump flag. Like, oh, to be if you support Trump, you're a real American, and if you don't, well, guess you're not, right? So he hated that. But Dad would have been so proud of Kamala Harris, and so would my mother, particularly Mom, because she was always, she was in World War II in the combat zone, worked for the Red Cross. That's how she met my dad. She talked about, going over on this ship and they had to turn all the lights and all the motors off because German boats were circling around looking for their ship. And this is in the middle of the Mediterranean while her parents thought she was safe and sound in Cleveland. But she was an adventurous, and so was my dad. That's how they met, and that's why I'm such an adventurer today, as I never told you about my treks to the Amazon. Actually, I did go to the Amazon, but it wasn't exactly a harrowing experience, but I did love it. I'll tell you about it someday. So, how did I get off? See, I do this. I change subject all the time, and it drives poor Ross crazy. It also drives my doctor crazy, and other people who are normal, who don't like try to listen to follow somebody's conversation when all of a sudden he's talking about being in the Amazon when he started off talking about Kamala Harris. How does that happen? I don't know. That's just the way I am. So, but I always try to come back to my original storyline. And my storyline to you is I think Kamala Harris is going to win this thing, and I'm looking at the early returns. I think she's going to blow them out in North Carolina. North Carolina is changing. It is gradually, slowly but surely evolving into a solid blue state, and it will be in years to come because of the Silicon Valley type situation they have going there with all the high tech and all the educated people moving down there and taking their views back from the north and bringing it down into that part of the south. It's going to be a solid Democratic state before too long. So I think she's going to win that, and if she wins that, and she picks up Wisconsin and she picks up uh, Minnesota, which I think she should do easily. Even if she loses Pennsylvania, she'll still win. But I think she's going to win Pennsylvania as well. But I'm counting on those women voters to get out there and say, hey, this matters. And you know why that matters so much? Why it is, I believe, the issue which is going to trump all others. This is the clue. If you don't like the immigration situation and you say, oh, these people coming across the border, 99% of the people in this country are not affected by that. Some of the people in the border cities are. They have to deal with a huge influx of people coming in. But most of the people in the rest of the country, they don't like it. They particularly don't like it because of the way Donald Trump demagogues the issue. And I can tell you, I do immigration law, and I know that he just completely misrepresents everything that's going on down there. But, you cannot like what's going on there. The economy, that's a phony issue. gas prices are down, 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 and going down further. The price of eggs. Well, if you think eggs cost too much, get something else to throw at cars. You can throw tomatoes and stuff, or bricks, whatever. I throw stuff at cars all the time. I get up on these bridges, bam, bam, and when I run out of eggs or they cost me too much, I switch to tomatoes. Tomatoes are cheap. You can get tomatoes for almost nothing. Of course, they do a little more damage than an egg. That's not my problem. These guys should have insurance. So the prices of things are not that out of whack, but more significantly, wages are going up. The stock market is through the roof. Housing values are going up. I've talked about this before. The economy is not a disaster for 99% of the people in this country. It's caused a hardship for some people, that's true, but not for the overwhelming majority of the people. The country's economy is solid and sound. So it's not the economy. And you can get as mad as you want to about immigration, but it doesn't impact you directly. The abortion issue impacts people directly in their everyday lives. And you hear these horror stories about women bleeding out in parking lots and all this horrible stuff, these horror stories that go on. That impacts people either if it's the women themselves, it's their husbands, their families, they talk about their future daughters. People care about their daughters. People care about their wives, their sisters. It's not just a woman's issue. And that's a direct issue which has a direct impact, and it gets people fired up when you're using the government to go into people's private lives and do harm to them. It gets them going, and I think that's what's going to cost Trump this election, and it should, So that's really all I have to say to you now. Let's if Trump wins, don't despair. We've survived this before, and we'll survive it again. We still have lots of issues. I have lots of problems with the Democratic Party, particularly with political correctness and that type of thing, which is an irritant, but it's not a thing that impacts me directly or most people directly. So you shouldn't be casting votes based on whether or not something irritates you. You should need to look at the reality, and I always start with the economy. And right now, the economy is solid. The Biden administration has done a great job bringing back the chip manufacturing to this country when we had lost it. And a host of other things, particularly infrastructure that they've done. That infrastructure bill was long overdue. It was a joke with Trump. He'd say, "Oh, we're going to have infrastructure week," and then they laughed, and nobody ever did anything. Biden got in and boom, 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 and that got done, and nobody thought he could do it. So I'm real happy with the job that this administration has done, and I go back a long way with the Democratic Party. I first started following politics in 1948, and way before then, because through my dad, who was an economist who grew up in the Great Depression, and all about Roosevelt economics and Keynesian economics. I was raised on it. I learned about economics and how the difference between the way the two parties deal with it, particularly the antitrust laws. One of my specialties is concerned. Republicans hated antitrust laws, except for Teddy Roosevelt, and Democrats have always sought to enforce them and done so vigorously, as do I in my private practice. So enough of that nonsense. I just want to say good luck to us, and I'm going to go watch my television. And I hope we have many happy returns, as they say at the birthday party. Bye.